Welcome to the PR Maven podcast. This is episode number 70, and today I'm going to do a solo cast about content marketing. Welcome to the PR Maven podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. This week, I am actually going to share with you some of my own thoughts on content marketing as the new PR. And this is based on an article that I wrote for Forbes.com because I'm a member of the Forbes Agency Council. And this article, which was released about a month ago in November of 2019, has actually gotten a lot of attention around the world, including being shared by the Public Relations Institute of Ireland, which then got a lot of comments and feedback from PR people in Europe, which honestly was very thrilling to me. But for decades, the public relations industry has relied on the media to publish client stories and help them raise visibility to achieve results. An agency or publicist would pitch a news outlet on a potential story, and that news outlet would either run the story or not. And those of you who have followed the PR Maven podcast have heard me tell stories about all of the crazy media pitching that I have done in my 40-year PR career, including the days when I was working for Sugarloaf as a young publicist in my 20s. And we would go to New York City to meet with people from ski and skiing magazines. But instead of doing a media tour where you actually have appointments made in advance, we would go down there with no appointments and just go into the offices of ski and skiing magazines, which were at 2 Park Avenue in Manhattan. And my then boss, Chip Carey, who was my guest previously on the PR Maven podcast, he would send me into the ladies' room and say, Nancy, just go in there and stand at the sink and wash your hands. And if somebody else comes into the ladies' room, just introduce yourself and ask if they're a writer for ski or skiing or an editor, and then tell them all about Sugarloaf and invite them up. So that's what I did early on for media pitching. But I must say that over the years, I've done much more sophisticated media pitching, including, calling reporters and editors for publications like the Wall Street Journal and USA Today and forming relationships. But in any case, the whole thrust of public relations used to be hoping that reporters or editors would determine whether our message was ever heard. We would hope that we would come up with a newsworthy angle so that they could include it in their newscast. And of course, what is considered to be newsworthy on any day really depends on what else is happening in the world. There's an expression of a slow news day, and actually publicists love slow news days because those are days when journalists, reporters, editors, news directors are actually looking for something to share on their broadcasts or in their papers or magazines or on their radio shows. So PR people are always trying to figure out on any given day what is going to be considered newsworthy. And the world of public relations today has morphed tremendously, really because of the internet. With the rise of the internet, more and more people are seeking information about a variety of topics, and they really don't want to see advertising or other forms of overt marketing. After all, barely 1/3 of global consumers claim to trust most of the brands they buy and use, according to a research study by Edelman. And 56% report that they're able to spot what we call trust washing, which is a term used to describe when brands use societal issues as a marketing ploy to sell more of their product. So this breakdown in trust leads to skepticism of self-promotion, brands telling you how wonderful they are, and it leads people to consume content differently. Think of websites like Buzzfeed, which has attracted a loyal following by, in their words, creating authentic audience engagement that fosters real-world impact. Buzzfeed reaches hundreds of millions of people worldwide, but they don't do it by flooding readers' news feeds with sponsored content. They do it by rewarding their readers with content they're actually looking for. In other words, they attract and retain their audience by building the right kind of audience first. An audience that, wait for it, knows, likes, and trusts the brands. Let me repeat those words again, because if you are in any kind of marketing or PR, your job is to build an audience that knows, likes, and trusts your brand. And that can apply either to a personal brand, like I have the PR Maven brand, or an organizational brand. And in my case, I have Marshall Communications, which is my PR agency. POPSUGAR is another example of a news outlet that has built the right audience, which is millennial women, for itself. Or what about Tasty, which actually happens to be a site that I really like looking at because it has videos of food, cooking, and fun in the kitchen. And if you've been listening, you may remember that I was the Connecticut State bread baking champion. Just saying. I was the Connecticut State bread baking champion when I was in the 4-H at age 16. And so I kind of like hanging out in the kitchen and baking bread and baking other things and making all kinds of creations. And if there's a glass of wine on the counter, that's not so bad either. Just saying. So in the words of marketing guru David Meerman Scott, you can buy attention, or you can buy advertising, or you can beg for the attention from the media, which is PR. You can bug people one at a time to get attention, which is sales, or you can earn attention by creating something interesting and valuable and then publishing it online for free. So again, I want to emphasize that if you are in PR and marketing, your number one concern should be building an audience. And that kind of reminds me, did you know that soap companies like Procter and Gamble were actually the original ones to have created soap operas back in the 50s? Back in the old days, soap operas used to be on the radio, and then they were on TV like General Hospital or All My Children or As the World Turns. Those soap operas were totally created by the soap companies to generate an audience of engaged viewers or listeners and people that would come back literally day after day after day to see their stories. And then they would sell their soap to them. So if we each think of ourselves as if we have to have an audience for our own story, or for some of us, it's like a soap opera, and you want to keep your audience engaged in whatever kind of content you create, whether you create a podcast like this one, or you create content that you share on social media, and that could either be original content like this article that I wrote for Forbes.com called Content Marketing is the New PR. And I created that article, posted it on Forbes.com, and it has been shared on LinkedIn with audiences around the world. And hopefully it's going to broaden my audience for my content as the PR maven and my agency, Marshall Communications. So the same logic applies to public relations firms. Companies that previously only specialized in PR and advertising are now turning to content marketing to get the word out, to earn attention for the brands that they're promoting. And I do know this firsthand because my PR agency has morphed into a media company with the production of this podcast, the PR Maven podcast. And between the podcast itself and the associated website updates, the email newsletters, social media posts, and our daily Alexa flash briefings, which, by the way, if you have an Alexa device, I'd like you to enable the skill for the PR Maven podcast Marketing Minute, which is actually a daily Alexa flash briefing. And we as an agency are producing tons and tons of content on a daily and weekly basis, and we are giving it away for free. But as a result, we're engaging our audience and broadening our audience. And this article on content marketing has broadened my audience into Ireland and beyond. So the internet is what allows PR agencies to share our expertise in small servings or bite-sized servings so that clients will come to our agency when they're ready for a larger dose. So again, we're giving away this content and advice for free. But when clients want to have an ongoing program, such as an entire media outreach campaign or a year-long ad blitz or longer. We've been working with some of our clients for 25 years, like the State of Maine Office of Tourism. So only by establishing yourself as a thought leader or a go-to expert in your field will clients then trust you to get the job done. And that's where content marketing comes into play. You too can become that expert or that thought leader. And of course, the key to success is not just pumping out a lot of stuff. Content marketing needs to be based on a strategic action plan whereby you pinpoint your key messages and your targeted audiences and then determine the best methods to connect those messages with that audience. The platform may change depending on the audience. Some consumers may value a print magazine or newspaper, while others may gravitate towards a series of YouTube videos or Instagram stories. For my agency, a podcast was the content of choice because I love to speak with my guests. And if you've listened to this podcast, you know that sometimes I start laughing hysterically because I am having so much fun doing my podcast. And I love sharing my conversations with my audience. It's really all about finding what brings you joy and about finding your niche and creating a tribe of loyal fans and followers. Long gone are the days of simply pitching reporters and hoping for the best. As PR experts, we pride ourselves on thinking outside the box, and content marketing is perhaps the best example of that. Trust me, it's worth your time and money. And I'd encourage you to look at the Forbes Agency Council on Forbes.com to see more of my articles. Thanks for listening today, PR Maven Nation, and I hope you have a great day. That's it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank you for listening, and if you feel that you've gotten value out of today's conversation, consider leaving a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever app you're using to tune in. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should do so. I release a new episode each week, and subscribing will make sure you get an alert when there's a new episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation by going to prmaven.com/nation and clicking join. It's free, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you have an Alexa-enabled device, be sure to add the PR Maven Marketing Minute to your daily flash briefing menu. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.